Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello.
Good morning. चलो मेरी मीटिंग शुरू होने की बात गल उसी है खुदा हाफिज
Go ahead and stay on mute for now until you're wanting to ask a question or share a comment. Or if you just want to say hi, that's cool too. It's good to see everyone. We've got folks still coming in from the waiting room, but we're going to get started right away because we know that time is of the essence today. Well, good morning. It looks like it is 10 a.m. and we should get started. Keep yourself on mute for the time being until you want to share a comment or a question. I think we've got a large group today, and we're just really very happy to have you and our special guests here today. Hi to everyone. I'm Laurel Hansen, MACC Program Manager, and I'm joined by my co-moderator, Clara Owen, MACC Communications Director, and we're just happy to have you here with us today. This is MACC zooms in on frontline worker bonus pay, a topic that is capturing everybody's attention right now. This convening continues a series of Zoom sessions where we're bringing MACC members together and convening around the issues that we hear matter to you. And we know that all of our members have a distinct voice in the community, but our network is really united by a belief that we have greater impact when we partner and connect. So on behalf of your network, MACC, thank you so much for being here. And we have so many great MACC member organizations represented here today. And I see some of you are already introducing yourselves. I certainly want to encourage you to do that. Please feel free to introduce yourself in chat and let everyone know who is here. In the interest of time, we're not going to do a full introductory rounds, but we love having you here. All right, so as is our standard practice for MACC convenings, we always begin with a land acknowledgement. And so we acknowledge and honor the truth of our journey to where we are here today. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations who have come before. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Honesty and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers difference creates. Wherever you are located within the Twin Cities, we are on the stolen lands of the Dakota people. We pay respect to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies, violence, displacement, slavery, migration, and settlement that is part of this journey to today. Thank you. So we're going to jump in right away, but we do want to set a baseline by asking you a few poll questions to start with. And I'm going to ask Clara to go ahead and launch the first one. We want you to respond to each poll question, and then we'll briefly see the results and move on to the brief. The first question is, do you believe your organization's employees are aware of this program, Frontline Worker Bonus Pay? Getting a good response. Seems like the majority of you feel that some or most are aware, but there are still some who seem unaware of the program. Okay, and we can go on to the second question. What percentage of your workforce do you believe will be eligible for Frontline Worker Bonus Pay based on what you might know coming into this session today? More than half, less than half, uncertain. Just getting a general sense of who's in the audience. So it seems fairly split. We've got people who think that the majority of their workers may be eligible, and some who believe that less than that. And we have one more poll question. Do you anticipate receiving questions about frontline worker bonus pay from your organization's clients and participants? So above and beyond your staff, do you anticipate that your participants will come to you as a subject matter expert around frontline worker bonus pay? So it looks like a good chunk of you are saying yes, we already have, or we think we will. And some of you aren't sure, which I would imagine is a common feeling at this point based on the information you've received. Awesome. Thank you everyone for participating and sharing some information. And we have a couple of special guests, and I want to introduce the first one briefly. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to introduce Amanda Golly. She is the Vice President of Human Resources at MACC with over a decade of HR experience, and she leads a team of HR professionals who provide a full range of services to MACC members, to some MACC members. I wanted to make sure you all had the opportunity to meet Amanda and know that MACC has this HR subject matter in-house every day. Hi, Amanda. Let's check in with you. How are you today?
Doing well today. I would say that it's interesting. I'm seeing some faces on here, and as HR subscribers, I feel like we have a majority of, we can handle some of these questions that were being asked. But for those of you that aren't HR subscribers, just know that you have a resource available being a part of the MACC network that we can certainly help out with. So glad to be here today.
Thanks, Amanda. Good to see you. Now it's my pleasure to jump in and welcome Amy Koch. Amy's been a political strategist with Hylden Advocacy and Law for over 5 years. Welcome to Amy, and thanks for talking with the MACC Network today about frontline worker bonus pay. Tell us, how did we get here? What do we need to know? Let me turn it over to you.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Laurel. Hi, everyone in the MACC Network. I work with Tricia and the team for you at the Capitol. And so we work on whether it's nonprofit relief fund or some of the language that's going around that affects nonprofits, and now, and of course, frontline worker pay. So I'm very proud and glad to do that. Just as an opening, what I'll say is what I'm getting from a ton of people is, what's going on? What's happening? Am I supposed to be doing something this week? And I think your first poll question, which was, do my employees know about it? And about half of you said, or well, a good majority of you said either yes, they know. So I'm guessing you're hearing from your employees, or about half know and half don't was the answer. And so I think you're also concerned that you want to make sure that your employees, if they do qualify this, if they worked, I mean, these are the folks that worked through the pandemic doing the hard work. You want to make sure that if they qualify, they get this. So I understand the push. And so I'm here to first say to you, you're fine. You're good. The checks are going to be going out at the end of summer, maybe early fall. That's the estimate right now, because there's process that the government has to do to get things in place, and they're working on that. So don't feel like this is nothing you have to do this week. It is. There are things you need to know about, and there are some answers and some good answers to your questions. So let's start. I will share my screen. There we go. Okay, so Senate File 2677 is known as Frontline Worker or Hero Pay. And here is where it started. Passed off the House April 25th, passed off the Senate floor April 29th, almost unanimously there off the Senate floor. Conference committee was created, and that means the House, because the House bill was different than the Senate bill, they came together and repassed the House on April 29th after some amendments in the House. The governor and final approval also came on April 29th. So, this has been something that's been in the works since we were supposed to have a special session last fall. And it took them a long time to sort of come to a final negotiation, but they were able to finally, and when they did, then they moved quickly. So the deal that came out was a combination of the unemployment fund, which of course, was the Minnesota Unemployment Fund was severely depleted during the pandemic to the tune of about $2.7 billion, and money was borrowed from the feds. And because of how unemployment works, that employers were going to have to see a jump in their unemployment tax because it has to be refilled and it has to be held at a certain level. And that was actually happening. And so this agreement was frontline worker pay, and unemployment repayment. So both of those things were done in this agreement. And the total originally was 250 million for frontline worker pay. And the final in this is 500 million. There's $500 million in a fund now passed and approved for frontline worker pay. Let's see next. Oh, why is it not going? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So who qualifies? And this is important. And you see a long list of people on the right there. But you have to have been employed at least 120 hours in Minnesota in one of the frontline sectors between March 15th, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. So that is a very, very wide window, first of all. And they have to have been able to not telework due to the nature of the individual's work. So, and have worked in close proximity to people outside the individual's household. They also must meet the income requirements for at least 1 year between December 31st, 2019 and January 1st, 2022. So also a large gap, and the income requirements are different. So for those that are tasked with frontline pay, direct care responsibilities, think nurses. That's kind of what is the most. They have to earn less than 350,000 as a married taxpayer or less than 175 as single. For those that were not involved with direct patient care responsibilities, the limit goes down. It's 185,000 for married filing jointly or 85,000 for other filers. So individuals making $85,000 or less a year qualify for in this area, unless they were assisted living, nursing, direct patient care. And this is key, you must not have received unemployment insurance benefits for more than 20 weeks on a cumulative basis for the weeks between March 15th, 2020 and June 26th, 2021. So here where you might get into where this is not for this group, but as an example, restaurant employees, depending on how long they were laid off because restaurants were closed and open and closed and open, the 20 weeks here is very key. So you can't have received unemployment for more than 20 weeks, and that's cumulative. So even if you came back and went back off and came back. The other thing, and I think this is important for folks on here, is there's the obvious, right? There's nurses, there's long-term care, emergency responders, people, everything that people know, child care, courts and corrections. But I think it's when you start to get into food service and thinking about food shelves. And that includes product preparation, sales and delivery, retail. Retail includes, for this group, no, but like that includes liquor stores and, anybody in that sales fulfillment, all of that. Temporary shelters and hotels, extremely important. Building services, so maintenance and security, public transit, manufacturing, vocational rehab, and other sectors. It's not as simple as they don't outline every single organization or every single job description in this. So you have to, look at this list and figure out where you and your organization fit in, because you very well likely may.
Yeah. Amy, a question came up, but I think you're right. When you go over that list, we have so many organizations that, as you mentioned, that have food shelves and food centers. And also we have a significant group of members that operate like thrift stores and resale stores and reuse centers and things like that. So
right. Retail, all that stuff that's in here. As long as again, they had to have been working. And it doesn't just apply to people in the front. It applies to the folks that are fulfillment services, all of those things, delivery. Yep.
Accepting donations. Sometimes they have the drive-throughs where the customers come up with their donations. Yeah.
Right.
The question came up. This may or may not be in your focus area, but do you know how worker pay affects benefits?
It's not, that isn't in my area. The question of whether it's been taxed or it has to be applied to their benefits, that is not a question that we've heard answered yet. And I've spoken to the authors of the bill, but that's maybe not as granular as they get. So probably something that Amanda might have to dig into a little bit as this goes on. I would tell you that Dolly may not have that question yet, but they will.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. So how do they apply? The system is not yet ready to accept applications. They just signed an RFP they announced yesterday with someone to set this up. But once they are ready to accept applications, eligible workers will have 45 days to apply. And they expect that application system to be ready by mid-June. So if you think about it, so that's, and then it will be 45 days from activation that folks will have to apply. So about a month and a half. And again, as I said earlier, the checks are anticipated late summer or early fall. A key for folks on here that are employers, within 15 days of the application period opening, employers in the identified frontline sector must provide notice to all employees that might qualify. So you don't have to kind of go through, we can talk about what system you want to use, but anybody that might, and you have to provide notice that it's open, where they apply. And then I would also include, of course, all the information on who qualifies so that people can know and can kind of look. So you don't have, somebody that's been working from home, but worked in the sector applying. So
Do you think there'll be sample notices that employers will be able to
I'm
use?
certain there'll be sample notices. Yes. And if there aren't, I think it's a great idea that's something that MACC I think could be super helpful with too, but we can work with you on that. I'm sure there will be sample notices.
Yeah, I would imagine as well.
And the forms eventually will be available at Frontline. Is it Frontline Pay? Sorry, this is frontlinepay.minnesota.gov.
Yeah, we'll include that linked for everybody if they haven't had it already in our email.
Great.
Oh, it's in chat too.
And I've sent Laurel this now too, so it'll be a part of your goodie bag too, right?
Yep.
And if the application is denied, there's actually an appeal process that you can appeal the application and the decision within 15 days of the notice of denial. And then if they're still denied, that's final. So you get one appeal on it, and then that's final. And you have to do that within 15 days of the notice. And then, as you said, when can you expect the check? After processing and verification of the application, the final list of eligible applicants will be determined, and each will be provided with a payment. Now, the payment, they really don't know. They're estimating about 670,000 workers in Minnesota may be eligible. So that $500 million pot is going to be divided by the applications that they get. It's going to be as simple as that. So they're estimating at the low end 750, and it is capped at 1,500. But it really depends on who applies. They were taking a kind of a back of the napkin approach as best they could. And all applications will move through at the same time, and payments will be forwarded for processing together. So there's not for your employees to feel like, if I don't get this in right away, is it a problem? Nope. You basically, everyone's in that 45-day window, whether you apply day 1 or you apply day 45, everyone is going to be processed together. No one's getting first dibs and somehow that pot's going to run out. That's not how it works. They're going to batch them together.
Claudia has an interesting question in chat. Will employers be obligated to support each application by verifying job location exposure to the public?
I think that there may be some, I'm unsure if you're going to have to verify or if the employee is going to be responsible for forwarding the paperwork to prove their hours. That's a little bit unclear. I would guess that it's going to fall mostly on the applicant, but that you as the employer are likely going to, either way, you're going to be providing backup paperwork. I'm sure if people didn't keep whatever paperwork is necessary. Exactly.
But right now, the only obligation for the employer to the employee is the notice.
Yes, the 15-day notice.
Yeah. And I'm sorry if you said this already, maybe you could repeat it. When do you anticipate the application window to open?
Mid-June.
Mid-June. Okay. So that 2-week window that the employers have their obligation to notify will likely be late June-ish.
Yep. I would assume is figure that whatever, let's just say June 15th to July 1. But watch. And so the question is, how am I supposed to keep up with this, Amy? You can call Amanda or me. No, but there's even a better way to receive updates. And this will be in your packet. There's a link, and you can go to that link, and what this link will take you to is you actually just put in your email. It's a simple, very short form, and they will actually be sending you the updates then as things happen.
Yeah.
So
Trisha popped,
I
Trisha
strongly
popped,
recommend that.
Trisha popped the link in chat, and that is the place where you will go and put your email in to get those notices. So, yep.
Great. Great. So that is it. I will stop sharing and I will open the floor for any additional questions. I know it seems a little light on details. There's still some questions about how it affects benefits and what will fully be required to apply, but those details are coming. And just so it's mostly so this is what we know so far. This is what you can tell people, and to really check those updates. I think that's super key. Not even check, they'll notice you. They'll send you. I've signed up for the updates. It's great. They sent out a new notice this week to tell we signed an RFP. Yep, they're being very thorough.
Excellent. We've had a couple of great questions in the chat. Anyone can feel free to ask some more. As Amy said, they haven't released a ton of information, but that was a very good overview of what we do know. And anyone want to raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask a question while we have Amy just for a couple more minutes? Feel free. Looks like we might have covered what we know right now. Can't answer more than you don't know, but oh, here's Trisha. Trisha has a question.
Question. You said that it's the Department of Labor rolling this out and managing it. Is that right?
That's correct. In cooperation with DEED because of the unemployment aspect of it.
Okay.
At Dolly's Lily.
And so the folks on the call know we've been talking with Amy about the possibility of trying to get somebody from the Department of Labor and Industry to come and give a briefing for us when they start to do kind of their rollout and hopefully their community outreach, assuming they're going to do that. And so it is light on details, but hopefully, hopefully,
we put in our request.
Yes.
We're in line to get in the outreach program. So as soon as we hear anything on that,
Okay.
I think at that point, it'll be, what we're hoping is either right before they open the application process, as they get more of these questions answered themselves, I would assume they're going to want to go out there. So we sold ourselves as, hey, we've got a big group that could have lots of questions and save you a lot of time by spreading the word amongst our network. So yes, we're hoping to get them maybe as it gets closer to the application process. So
That's great.
I know when we've been talking with a few members about this, I think some folks were kind of under the assumption that we would, as nonprofits, we didn't qualify for this, but I think this is all to reassure everybody and just to say, yeah, your employees likely, many of them might qualify, right? If they had frontline kind of community facing roles, don't roll this out. And not just, but we're going to have a responsibility to be communicating with those folks. So I think in partnership with MACC HR and Amy, we're going to be untangling some of these details in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
The childcare folks out there, all of those employees count, they qualify.
Yeah. Revisit that list. You'll see so many of those categories, including social services reflected there. So we're appreciative of that. And for additional questions, if you have follow-up questions, Amanda from the HR perspective at MACC, always so helpful with some of those more specific details on the HR side. And if you have more questions for Amy, you can certainly connect with her through us at MACC. So feel free to reach out to me and I can help connect you up with that.
Laurel, can I jump in? And maybe Amy, you can jump in as well. Since we have a few minutes and there's still more time for questions if anything comes up here, but I just want to give a quick shout out. Some of you know MACC's been doing work with coalition partners on the nonprofit relief fund that Amy mentioned, and we're kind of at the last opportunity to try to get this funded. And so I'm going to post in the chat a link. You can see there's an action alert up for this week. Please send some emails, even if a handful of emails to these conference committee members. This is our last chance to try to get this program funded. This would be Gen Op support relief funding for human service nonprofits and small organizations and culturally specific organizations. And we've been left out. Like the legislature has been super focused on small business, but here we are. you all know you've put a lot of money and depleted, your reserves and things through the pandemic. And we also know we're going to be facing a cliff, in terms of this ARPA and CARES Act money kind of starting to taper off from the state and the county. And so, this is one-time money. Let's try to get it. Please send a note if you can. Encourage your staff to as well. This is our last chance and they need to hear from us. This is like it. So asking for your help. Please send some emails if you can. I don't know, Amy, anything else you can
No,
add?
we make it really easy with the action alert. You can customize the message, but it's all the information's in there. So it's really like pretty simple. Just, it doesn't have to be fancy. A quick email, please support this. This is what we do. This is the people we serve in your district. And this is why this matters. We've been left out, like as Tricia said, we didn't see, I think everybody thinks this idea that there's all this money and there was, well, for some, there was lost revenue, and for others, there wasn't lost revenue, but there was such an increase in demand. And so the nonprofit relief is aimed at all of those. And I will tell you, the legislature is really key. The governor has included this in his package, and the lieutenant governor has made it clear it's a top priority for her. And we heard from Department Deed that in negotiations, this is a top priority. They've been directed that this is a top priority. So that's great news. But what that means is we got to put that pressure on the legislature. So take
Absolutely.
5-10 minutes today and just shoot off a few emails.
This action alert can make a difference for nonprofit funding. So thank you for everybody for paying attention to that. You'll see the link in chat to check that out. And Amanda also dropped her email address or the email address for MACC HR in the chat. So feel free to reach her there. And I just want to thank our special guest, Amy Koch, for her time, and thanks to Amanda as well for being on, and Tricia and all of you. Want to thank everyone who took the time to come today to learn a little bit more about frontline worker bonus pay. Appreciate that very much. As we mentioned, there'll be an after session e-goodie email from MACC, so you'll get these materials that you can take back to your team. And this does bring us to the closing of today's Zoom session. So I just want to wish everyone well, be well, and best wishes for the rest of your day and week. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.